Welcome into the Dylan Talks Wrestling YouTube channel, and welcome in to Yappin Wrestling, where you guessed it, I yap about wrestling. Everything from breaking news, instant reactions, predictions. If you love wrestling, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let's get into today's video. Oh my goodness, man. What a WWE Premium Live event Clash at the Castle 2024 turned out to be. We had some great wrestling. We had a crazy ending, perhaps the craziest ending of the year aside from WrestleMania Night 2, because obviously that'll probably be one of the craziest endings to a match ever in the history of wrestling. We're going to talk about each and every match, break it down. Timestamps will be in the description, but let's talk about the ending to Drew McIntyre versus Damien Priest, because I'm not going to lie to you guys. Going into this match, I thought it was must win for Drew. I needed to see it. That crowd needed to see it. It felt like it was time. You guys know, if you watched my predictions, I desperately wanted Drew McIntyre to reign supreme. But instead, like a lot of things in the Triple H era, storyline reigned supreme. As we had a very creative spot, right? It wasn't just CM Punk comes out and screws, Drew McIntyre lazily under the ring in the crowd. No. The ref gets knocked out of the ring, and Drew hits a Claymore, and he's calling for a new ref to come down, and we see a ref running down, counting in the ring. We don't see his face, but we see the slicked back hair, and in those 2 seconds, you kind of figured it out, and you're like, no, my goodness, it's... And as the 2 count goes down, Drew, Phil, Punk, they lock eyes. And CM Punk hits him with the, which of those of you that don't know, in Glasgow, Scotland, this is the equivalent to this in America. So, I mean, overall, a brilliant finish, but like a lot of good finishes, especially in WWE, I'm left with more questions than answers. Is Drew McIntyre a face? Because the crowd was certainly behind him. And that could just be a Scotland thing. But CM Punk, what he just did was a heel move, an asshole move. Is CM Punk going to receive the face reaction in America, or is Drew? Because in reality, you should be sympathetic to Drew at this point. I know that Drew was an asshole and cost himself at Mania to be cashed in on, but Drew had Priest beat. And Punk screwed him. Punk screwed him bad. And if you remember, the reason this rivalry is happening is because Drew injured Punk in the Royal Rumble. But I hate to break it to you, you're in a wrestling match, okay? Like, your opponent's trying to beat you. Like, Drew's not an asshole storyline-wise for injuring Punk. And now I see an asshole for the t-shirts and the, making fun of him every week. Sure. Where do we land now on who to cheer for in this feud? I still think a lot of people it's going to be CM Punk because he's freaking CM Punk. But we have 2 very anti-hero-esque guys going at it here. Deadpool versus Iron Man. 2 anti-heroes, really, in these 2. Great storytelling overall. I'm excited to see where it goes. And I wouldn't be so sure we're getting a one-on-one match at SummerSlam. I'm not saying it won't happen, and I think these 2 one-on-one inside a Hell in a Cell at SummerSlam, that is, a feud deserving of that match, and I would be all here for it. However, I could see a fatal 4-way scenario. Drew versus Punk versus Gunther versus Priest. Drew McIntyre, screwed, right? Wants a rematch. But says, you know what? I'm tired of thinking in the back of my mind, is this freaking guy going to be out here? Put him in the match. Gunther won the King of the Ring. That's how you get all 4 competitors. Bada boom, bada bing. Banger match for SummerSlam. For sure. We could get there. Because there's a lot of matches on this SummerSlam card that some feuds are going to need to be kind of meshed together. Or we're going to have a very long card. SummerSlam's not 2 nights yet. And I don't know about you guys, I don't want an 8-hour pay-per-view. So that's just an idea. And those two could cost each other, however that goes, and we could set up the one-on-one Hell in a Cell match for later in the year when there's a rumored Bad Blood returning in October. So stick with me on that idea. As well, with that idea, Finn Balor could win the Money in the Bank and could cash in on Priest, and we push forward with that feud. There is so much talent and feuds and available spotlight matches on Monday Night Raw right now, leaving Clash at the Castle. You have to love it. You have to love leaving a show with more questions than answers because the mind gets going and you could ramble all day about potential matches and you dream and you fantasy book. This is what freaking wrestling is, man. This right here. This is storytelling. This has you invested. This is awesome. And I'm very, very excited to see where WWE goes from here and where Triple H puts that pen to paper and starts writing. Because we have a lot of options and a lot of them result in banger matches and banger feuds. And I'm here for it. Let's break down the pay-per-view. Let's break down the pay-per-view now from start to finish. Clash at the Castle started. Cody Rhodes, AJ Styles, I Quit match. A lot of speculation going into it. A lot of people thought we could be headed towards an AJ Styles victory with Cody Rhodes' mom in the crowd. I really thought that maybe we were headed towards that when AJ got the handcuffs out. I, speculated on my prediction show. Do we have AJ Styles handcuff Cody Rhodes and he watches a returning to the OC Michin, who they highlighted on NXT, come out and she gets physical with Cody's mom? Because it was never going to be AJ, right? Obviously. Does that lead to Cody Rhodes saying I quit? That was an avenue. But once it opened to the show, I thought, okay, banger match, but Cody retains. That's where I thought we were headed. When Cody loses that title, it probably should be to close the show. But like I said in the predictions, I feel like we're a ways away from that. Dethroning Roman Reigns, losing the title really has to mean something. It's similar to when Brock Lesnar broke The Undertaker's streak. They talked about what to do with him next. And whatever you did, he had to look strong because he just broke that streak. Now, I'm not saying Roman Reigns' 1,200 plus day reign is equivalent to the streak, but you get it. The same premise there. When Cody loses, it has to mean something. And the opening match of Clash at the Castle, no offense, at 2 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon isn't where that happens. I'm sorry. That's just not where it happened, so I think this was the right decision. I thought this was one of the best I Quit matches in a very, very long time. It had a ton of time. It was excellent. I thought that the spots were really well done. I thought they really embarked on the stipulation and used it to the advantage. There were weapons involved, those kendo stick shots. Cody's going to have some welts on him. Let me tell you, Cody's going to have some welts on him. The chair shots, AJ's going to have some welts on him. These guys beat the crap out of each other. And we saw both guys bleed. Again, not a lot. We don't see blood a lot in WWE, and I'm not complaining about that. But in these match stipulations, yes, that is the time to don the Crimson Mask. I Quit match, Hell in a Cell, Last Man Standing. The new regime in WWE seems to really have a grasp on how to book these matches, at least from my perspective. This was a very, very well done. AJ has been great in this feud with Cody. I feel like now, though, you say I quit, it's got to be over. Plus, we'll talk about what happened at the end of the match, but for AJ Styles, guy's a great villain, has a ton of good things going for him. I threw out maybe an NXT feud with Trick Williams, and I wouldn't complain about that, but like, you know, because the OC has been down there, Mia Yim, Meechin, and whatever she's going by now is down there. I wouldn't hate that, but I hope that there is a solid plan in place for AJ Styles, because he's too damn good not to be on my TV in some freaking capacity. Cody Rhodes now looks like he could be set up to face Solo Sikoa, or Cody, Kevin, and Randy versus the Bloodline. I kind of feel like that's more of a go-home show. Cody's big on defending the title. Maybe we get the six-man tag at Money in the Bank, and they stretch Cody versus Solo to SummerSlam. If the Bloodline wins, you know, Solo gets Cody at SummerSlam, and we get that. And we could fantasy book that, and that ends in Dwayne and Roman and a big clusterfuck there. We could fantasy book that if that's where this goes. But I'm excited for that. I don't know if you guys caught this. Randy Orton was eyeing up that title. If you didn't catch it, go to my Twitter. It is, I tweeted the video out. Randy Orton was eyeing up that freaking WWE Championship. He wants that. Daddy wants his title back. That's what Randy's saying. The women's tag match, I mean, holy upset. The women's version of the Mega Powers, Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. I told you guys I thought these girls were going to hold these titles until next year's freaking WrestleMania. They lost. And with Drew losing, we knew Piper was going to lose. It makes sense to have some hometown hero team win the titles. I do think there's a shot we see Jade and Bianca win them back. They weren't pinned. The triple threat rules keeps them, you know, clean. Jade kind of looked like she tapped out to Shayna Baszler in like that rear naked choke that she does. I don't know if that was planned or if she was kind of telling her you're squeezing too hard and they just caught it on the camera. I'm not really too sure, if I'm being honest. The match overall, I thought it was fun pacing. You know, it's following up Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles I Quit match. It's hard to do, but it was a good match overall. Again, though, like I said, with good booking, you leave PLEs wondering what's next. I got to see what's next. For the first time ever, this women's tag division's got me wondering, what's next? Are Jade and Bianca good? Are they going to feud? Is their match already happening at SummerSlam? And Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. These women, badass. Put on a freaking show. I'm fine with them holding the titles for a little while. As I predicted on my prediction show, Sami Zayn defeated Chad Gable. I know a lot of you are mad about this. This was the right move. This made sense storyline-wise. And some of you told me on Twitter, Chad Gable's going to get stale. He's, you know, losing over and over and over again. I get it. It stinks. But this was about Gable and Otis. And on Monday, Otis is going to snap. And he's going to finally turn on Gable. We're going to get a clothesline. The crowd's going to erupt. And the Creed brothers are going to come in and beat the living hell out of Otis. And the new Team Gable Alpha Academy is going to be formed. And these guys are going to be badass. And they're going to be out for gold. They're going to be tag champs. And Gable's going to win that frickin' IC title. But we had to make it make sense. We had to get there. Sami Zayn, although the champion, was the third party. This was about leading to the point where Gable frickin' snaps. Did you see the look on his face? After that, he was pissed. And I get it. I understand that he was pissed. He should be. Lost the frickin' title. But we needed this. This was needed. Of course, with every, you know, Chad Gable and Sami Zayn match, it was solid. Great wrestling all around. I liked the ending. I liked the haluva kick at the end. Jeter jumping up on the bed. Solid. If you guys were wondering what the camera shake was, that's what that was. I liked the ending. I thought it was decent. I thought it was solid. Maxine, she didn't really do it for me, but she played her part. Alpha Academy falling apart. Gable just can't get these group of people to do what he needs to do. The Creeds will do his dirty work. I think we could be getting a break from Sami Gable, and we could revisit this story later, and we may see a Gable-Otis match before then. And who are the Wyatts going to feud with? Because they're coming Monday, And I don't know if it's just me, and somebody could fact check me if they're like all big into this in the comments. Has the Wyatt logo kind of consistently come up during Sami Zayn stuff? I think that could be who they target. Now, the one thing I don't like about that is them going for a title doesn't make a ton of sense, because they'd have to win. They have to look strong immediately, but you need Gable to get the title soon, so maybe I'm just completely off there. But the Wyatt logo did pop up. The new Wyatt family, led by Bo Dallas, should be debuting this Monday. I'm interested to see where that goes. Bayley versus Piper Niven. This was probably, your least crazy match on the card. Still solid. I thought that these two had a very hard-hitting match, right? I thought the moves landed very well. I thought Chelsea Green, like I mentioned, played a fun role when she came back out with the mask. Okay, it wasn't for me, but I'm sure somebody got a really big kick out of it. Bayley's title reign has kind of seemed to take a little bit of a back seat in terms of story. I'm not exactly sure what her character is as a face, but I do think we're going to have a David versus Goliath feel to her versus Nia Jax at SummerSlam. I do think Nia Jax is going to beat her for the title, but we'll get there when we get there. But I thought this was a nice little preview and a nice little Bayley fighting a woman the size of Piper Niven, fighting a woman the size of Nia Jax, getting some reps in. It felt like the sparring match before the big opponent. NFL teams, they bring in sometimes practice quarterbacks if they're going to play Lamar Jackson, who's so unlike other quarterbacks. It felt like this. Bayley fights Piper Niven as a prep to fighting Nia Jax and dealing with the size disadvantage she is going to have. But overall, a solid match. Decent. And let's talk again about the main event, but let's talk about the match as a whole. Going into it, the presentation, Drew with the Scottish bagpipes, I really thought McIntyre was winning. It became a need for me. When I saw him come out, which, not to broken dreams, missed opportunity. Very much so missed opportunity, in my humble opinion. But when I saw him, the reaction, I said, this has got to be Drew's freaking moment. We have to get the reaction. The place will erupt. Drew, it's his time. Priest came out, very heel reaction. I thought he looked like a freaking boss, though. The way he just ate it up. When he first won the title at WrestleMania, I had some fear that he was not going to be ready to be the main event. He is. Damien Priest is an absolute freaking beast. And he's a warrior for this match. For starters, these two beat the hell out of each other. But let's talk about that rope spot. That was not planned. The ropes were very tight. That is what led to, Jade not getting enough bounce and her botch. I hate critiquing wrestling like that because it's really not her fault. Those ropes were very clearly too tight. The clotheslines, if you recall, when people were getting clotheslined over the ropes, they didn't go over them the right way. Jade with that jump and Priest not being able to get over the rope and get stuck. That is because the ropes were tied too tight. And it happens. I'm not, trying to shit on the equipment crew here who sets up that ring. You set up a ring freaking how many times a year? 300 plus probably. There's going to be mistakes every now and then. This time just happened on a bigger stage. It's cool. Hopefully nobody got hurt. Priest sold it really well. I don't know if that's because he was really in a ton of freaking pain, because a non-contact injury like that, where it wasn't like Drew kicked him, that could be bad. And I hope that I hope that Damien is okay. He sold it well, but I want to say that that's not Priest's fault. And Jade earlier, her springboard not landing, not her fault. The ropes are just too tight. It happens, but it happens. The leg spot, though, getting stuck, I thought, again, barring a Priest injury, I thought it was a cool wrinkle to the match. Like, I know it wasn't planned, but I thought, wow, this is, this is cool. I kind of like that this little unplanned wrinkle happened in this match, and I like that it became a part of the match. Again, hopefully Priest is okay, because if he's not okay and it became a wrinkle in the match because dude's got a messed up knee, I kind of feel like an asshole, but again, I'm prefacing, as long as he's cool. The fact that he hit the Razor's Edge on Drew McIntyre's a big frickin' dude. And if his knee is truly messed up and he hit a Razor's Edge on him, holy smokes. What kind of strength Damien Priest displayed there. I thought the Claymore through the barricade, I got it written here in my notes, clean, in all caps. Great, great, great move. The match was a banger. I preferred Cody AJ a little bit more, but two excellent world title matches on this card. The ending, we'll talk about it again. The rebound Claymore Drew after the ref gets down. Punk, the fake ref, comes in. The 1, the 2. The you buddy from CM Punk to Drew McIntyre. Excellent storytelling. But again, you know, Damien Priest retains. Solid. He's going to hold that title in the SummerSlam. Very nice. Could we be headed towards a Priest Balor feud for that world title? Is Gunther going to take it from him? And then we're going to have two kind of blood feuds going on. Priest and Balor. Maybe Balor costs Priest at SummerSlam and Gunther does his own world title reign, and Drew and Punk do their blood feud. And then we got three like main staple feuds. Maybe Seth comes back. I don't know. We're spitballing. We're fantasy booking. Be sure to leave yours in the comments section, but I love that we left with more questions than answers. I hate that Drew didn't win because I wanted him to so freaking bad, but you know, that is one of the ups and downs, the joys of professional wrestling. You get invested and it's 365, you know, we'll see what happens, but it was a roller coaster. It was great. I loved it, but I hated it. If you know wrestling, you know what I mean. It was solid. Let me know your thoughts on Clash at the Castle in the comments section. That is all I got for you guys today. Peace.